Alafia to the family. It's your people's Babalawo, Eshuwala Adigun, and I'm back with another video for these spiritual streets, man. Hey, as requested from the people, Yahweh versus Olodumare. Let's get into it, man. First of all, we have to understand how this became to where people are confusing Olodumare with Yahweh, right? And the answer is very simple. A man by the name of Ajayi Crowther, who was captured in slavery, and the ship was intercepted by British mercenaries, essentially translated the Bible into Yoruba. And when he did so, he switched around two very important figures, okay? Two very important. And who are those very important figures? Eshu and Olodumare. So he translated Eshu, he translated Satan to Eshu, and he translated Yahweh to Olodumare. Now, for some reason, he didn't keep going along these lines of synchronicities. He stopped right there at two very key figures. For those who want a deeper breakdown of what I'm about to reveal for y'all, I got it in my blog that's pinned in the comments and in the description. All right. So for those who even want to go to study past this, what I'm telling you, my blog has deeper information, and my description has the blog in it, and so does my comment section. All right. So click the blog. Now, Yahweh versus Olodumare, and why they are not the same. Why they are not the same. Let's start with this one right here. Yahweh is a covenant God, okay? What do I mean by a covenant God? Yahweh has a covenant with the Israelites, okay? This is how we come into Yahweh. Yahweh has a covenant with the Israelites, okay? And this covenant was sealed in blood on Mount Sinai. It speaks about this in Exodus, where Moses essentially seals the contract between Yahweh and a group of Israelites, and he sprinkles blood over them, and it seals the covenant. You see, Yahweh, a lot of people lately, Christians been coming on my post talking crazy about, a supreme God doesn't take blood sacrifice. Well, right there, the covenant was sealed between Yahweh and the Israelites in blood. And so from that day forward, Yahweh looked at the Israelites as his chosen people. The Israelites are the chosen people of who? Yahweh. All right. And so that is very different from Olodumare. Olodumare is a supreme figure who is not tied to a particular peoples in that way, as Yahweh is to the Israelites. Olodumare does not have a covenant with tribes. You get what I'm telling you? Olodumare is a supreme force that gives life energy, and or what we call Ashe. Olodumare gives Ashe to everything around us. You see the difference? Yahweh, covenant God that made a pact with the Israelites in blood. Olodumare, a supreme God that gives Ashe, or life force, to everything that we see, is Olodumare. Very different, y'all. Very different. Olodumare is not involved in that type of stuff like Yahweh be mixing it up with people. You know what I'm saying? So Olodumare didn't get sealed in a covenant in that way. All right, that is what Yahweh did. Very different. Understand me? And in saying that, let's give credit to the Yorubas who identified this and brought forth the knowledge. Okay, so although Olodumare is not in a covenant with any particular people, the reason we're saying that name, Olodumare, in that way, in this context, is because of Yorubas. When you go to other tribes, they will have other names for that supreme being who functions in the same way, because this is African spirituality, okay? But that same crossover does not exist when it comes to Abrahamic. Okay, so Yahweh speaks directly to people. All right, this is another thing. Yahweh speaks directly to people. He rewards them. He punishes them. He gives them specific instructions. This is what Yahweh does. Yahweh physically or come to those prophets and tell them what he wants done, his will. This is Yahweh. You understand, family? This is Yahweh. Now, Yahweh also destroys. You know, he chooses what he wants to reject away from him. This is Yahweh, you know. And when we're saying this, it's not in a symbolic way of what Yahweh is doing. Literally, when you read the Bible, you will read verses where Yahweh is directly talking to prophets and giving them instructions. Okay? This is very different from Olodumare, who is hands off in that way. Olodumare instead delegates those tasks to Orishas or Irumules. And the Irumules carry out these things. Olodumare stays distant and not connected to those things in that way. Olodumare is not just coming down and giving instructions. Even when it comes to what we call Odu Ifa, which we say is the voice of Olodumare. The Odu Ifa, each Odu is its own Irumule. You see? So even in that sense, Olodumare have delegated those Irumule that we call Odu Ifa to carry out the task. Very different, family. Very different. Olodumare is not directly interceding. Instead, Ejogbe is interceding. Instead, Iworimeji is interceding. Instead, Oshun is interceding. Instead, Obatala is interceding. It's not coming direct that Olodumare just come down and tell you this thing. That is what Yahweh does. Yahweh intercedes on the behalf of man direct. It meddles in the affairs of human beings. This is what Yahweh does, family. It's very important to understand that, you know. Another aspect is the temperament. Yahweh, in the scripture, he becomes jealous. He demands that you exclusively worship him. He destroys nations for not worshiping him. You see what I'm saying? He sends plagues at nations for not worshiping him. Olodumare does not operate in that way. There is no people that can say they were destroyed by Olodumare because they chose not to worship Olodumare. No. Olodumare is not emotionally volatile. Olodumare is distant, supreme, stable. It's Olodumare, you see? And so, Yahweh in scripture is always getting angry at people, testing people, making bets with the devil, as in the case with Job, or where Yahweh is making a wager with Satan and trying to see if Job will turn away from Yahweh. Olodumare is not doing things like that. Olodumare is not making wagers with figures or other Irumules to try to turn people away from Olodumare to see if they will actually do it. This is what Yahweh does. Yahweh makes wagers with people's lives and say, oh, let's see if they'll turn away from us. Let's see if they'll turn away from me. And then if they do turn away from me, I'm going to punish them. If they don't turn away from me, I'll give them some type of reward. But they still lost everything they lost. This is what Yahweh does over and over again. Yahweh will test the faith to see if the person will be steadfast to Yahweh. Very different from Olodumare, family. Very different. Yahweh says, don't put any other gods before me. Yahweh says, don't put any other gods before me. Where Olodumare does no such thing. Olodumare does no such thing. Olodumare does not tell a group of people, don't put any gods before me. Olodumare acknowledges the multiplicity of supreme beings in the world. Okay? Very different. Olodumare is not framed as the leader of a specific tribe or a nation. You get what I'm saying? Olodumare is a force that exists for the world, Craig. For the world. You know what I'm saying? And whereas Yahweh is very specific to who he's tied to, and Yahweh also makes threats. So if you are to worship another deity other than Yahweh, Yahweh makes threats that you will suffer these consequences. You know what I'm saying? You will suffer these consequences. Whereas Olodumare does not do that. That is something that Yahweh does. You know, Yahweh is territorial. Yahweh is very territorial. So Yahweh is a different type of deity entirely. And I just want to down that narrative that Olodumare is Yahweh. It is not the same. Olodumare is Olodumare and Yahweh is Yahweh. Yahweh, I went through the list of what Yahweh is. I went through the list of what Olodumare is. So now, family, you should have a very clean understanding of the differences between these two beings. Okay? You should have a very complete understanding of these beings. All right? So with that said, like I said, the blog is in the comments. Make sure y'all like this video. We got to get back in the algorithm. You know what I'm saying? So the blog is in the comments, pinned, and in the description for those who want to dive even deeper into this conversation. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Odabo.